One. What's good, everybody? Oh, can you move over a little bit?
Oh,
Because I have us. There
yeah.
we go. There we go.
Wait, which
Perfect.
way?
Perfect. Yeah.
Is it this way? Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So what's good, everybody?
Oh, I like
Welcome
this.
to like this first discussion show post the US SFL. We're gonna be doing this every week. Myself, Ringe, and Lazarus in the building. One of my favorite commentators. One of my favorite people thinking about fighting games at a high level, and that's what I really want to do with this series. And you know, with SFL US just starting, I thought that was like kind of a perfect launching point for us, right? And obviously I think it kind of helps with our schedule. I like doing streams early in the morning, and then you mentioned that today is usually your free day and it's like not too late for you in the UK, so I think it's a good time for us to kind of link up and whatnot. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. We obviously saw SFL kick off with 6 tremendous teams, right? Let me see, I'm gonna put the teams on the board right now. 6 tremendous teams: Bandit, Endemic, we got Nasser versus Vortex, Red Rooster, UYU, right? All star-studded, everybody you could possibly want here for a US SFL and beyond, right? Plenty of international representation, as well as the US SFL kind of tends to do things.
Yeah, that's something you love to see. I mean, this has been a great opportunity for me as well to like almost force myself to catch up with it. Obviously, there's so much Street Fighter 6 action, it's hard to like stay on top of watching all of it. But this is like, okay, SFL's going on, nice reminder, thank you, Ringe. I'm like, okay, I'll wake up. So the first thing I watched this morning, it was great, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
honestly,
it was the first time I think that they had all the teams play, right? We mentioned that before as well. That's like, man, we got to see everybody. We got to see Angrybird, Big Bird, Mena, Kaba. Like, it was just a great show.
Yeah, like I said, it was basically we got a taste of every team and what they're all capable of. I think there were quite a few surprises as well, which is really nice.
Yeah, so like to me, one of the things, like the highlights that kind of stood out across all of the matches, it seemed like there was partly I want to say like atmospheric electricity, nervousness from some of the players. Like I think I saw Chris CCH, like after the first game, his hands were shaking a little bit, right? SFL is a serious stage, and I feel like it was also partly like people just getting used to the setup, getting used to playing in that environment, right? I felt like I saw a lot of uncharacteristic drops and execution errors that I'm not used to seeing from a lot of these players.
Exactly, especially from players you would not expect. Like even, you know, I think Angrybird was very susceptible to that. So Nakutu as well, very experienced player. You think they'd be over it at that point. And for something that is, it's like obviously over a course of several weeks, you think that there wouldn't be as many nerves because you're allowed to make a mistake early on, and you know it might not come back to bite you later on. So yeah, especially in the first week, I guess it is just the environment. You know, especially having the players in your ear being in that studio, I'm sure definitely like makes your nerves kick up.
100%. So let's get into the specifics of the matches a little bit. We started with, I believe, team was it versus Vortex versus Team Red Rooster, if I'm not mistaken, where we had NL versus PR Balrog to step up to the plate, right? Going into this, did you expect a PR Balrog 2-0?
No, not at all. Not against like NL, man. I mean, I don't know if anyone's really been able to see PR Balrog play recently. I haven't seen him anyway. But I was not expecting him to come out with Jury for one, and then be an extremely clean Jury, and obviously beating NL 2-0 very convincingly. So honestly, that was my biggest surprise, I think.
So like, there's footage of PR Balrog, but you kind of have to dig for it because it's like like a little bit of a NorCal local that he goes to. I think it's called the Coliseum or something like that. I could be even getting the name wrong. I'm not as familiar with it as I should be. But yeah, that's where he primarily plays on stream that I've seen. So there's a little bit of footage, but again, it's not one that's really out there. It's not on Team Spooky or Tampa Never Sleeps or one of the big streams that you see weeklies on, right? So definitely kind of flew under the radar, and he took him down, man. And one of the first things I kind of wanted to highlight here. Oh, I need to share my screen with you as well so we can be looking at the same thing. Let me do that real quick. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. Here we go, share my screen. So one of the first things I wanted to take a look at here today was kind of this ending sequence that PR Balrog closed the set out on, because one of the big things to me in this game is like the triple light block string, right? You know, a lot of the time when you get people in the corner, because light buttons are minus in this game, a lot of the time if you want to put pressure on your opponent that's real pressure, you kind of have to chain your lights, and then after the third light is when you're kind of pushed out of range for another light to connect. So that's where mind games start playing out, right? Whether you cancel into special, whether you kind of walk back and wait for somebody to press their reversal button, whatever have you, right? But I also think these high level players, they have fuzzy timings for a lot of those like block string scenarios, right? where like yeah, you're getting chained up, you're getting block string, and then the fuzzy situation is where you kind of press a button in that timing to where if they're gonna true block string you, then your button's not gonna come out, but if they leave a gap, then the button's gonna come out, right? And to me, that's what PR Balrog took advantage of here. That's what I saw, right? Like he knocks him down in the corner, meaties him with the stand jab, and maybe it was this meaty on the stand jab, and maybe it was meaty enough to make the stand medium punch plus. But to me, that kind of seemed like a moment where NL's fuzzy timings got blown up.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's weird you see the counter hit off of the direct jab, right? That must have caught like some sort of delay, say fuzzy timing, the delayed counter jab, or even just the tech, maybe. Obviously, a lot of people love the
tech. Yeah, that's a great point too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think to be fair, if he did immediate throw because jabs are minus, it would beat that. But obviously, everyone's normally delaying the throws because they want to be a bit safer to the frame traps and things. But yeah, in this case, it doesn't work out. And yeah, I really like I say, the 3 jab thing. It's kind of weird because pressure has gotten quite interesting in this game because of the fact that so many things are negative that they do lead to this fact of being. I think, to be fair, Jury is got the most plus buttons, I think, out of everyone, so she doesn't have to experience that as much as other characters, having like 2 +1 block normals or something. But she could definitely, you know, still do that same triple light, look for like maybe a frame trap or anything like that, or, you know, as we saw.
Yeah, man, exactly. That's what we saw coming out, and that's the jury privilege 100%. You kind of had the second guess when the block strings are coming, and then we'd even get to the feng shui, right? Then you really don't know what's going on if she pops that off. But yeah, afterwards,
I'll tell you my game plan. I just drive reversal and hope for the best. You know, if they're gonna keep canceling the normals, fine. But, yeah.
And PR Balrog, after the match, he credited with Samurai with lots of matchup experience, right? They work at the same place. They were like, he was like, we play at work. I probably shouldn't say that, but they play at work. They play at the same local, so he has plenty of Luke experience, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say something I wanted to point out about the matchup experience is if I guess if you want to look at it, if you jump to like 3325, I think it is. Yeah, 3325.
3325, got you.
This, like, I mean, if you know anything about Luke, you know how good his crouch strong buffer is, and right there, like, just abusing that. Obviously, you know, whatever NL's looking for, either delay button, this is going to be a fuzzy timing with this strong, and Balrog knows if he just walks back and he just does that at the exact amount of time, like those exact frames, that crouch strong will whiff punish the other one.
Oh my bad, I didn't even show the
It's just
stream.
like, that's that character knowledge. Yeah, it's so good. And also look at this punish as well, right? Goes into the DI for the burnout as well. This is what really surprised me about PR Balrog. Not many players are really that focused up on the drive gauge to the extent of looking at the situation, and rather than like finishing the combo, going for the burnout, because this is going to guarantee, like, this is the most likely situation to lead to like a win, especially when you're down on life. Like getting that burnout and then the threat of DI is just too big.
Yeah, man, I think that's a kind of a theme we're gonna see today, where we kind of go over a lot of stuff. There was a lot of attacking the drive gauge, both in a good way and in some ways it kind of played out against the opponent when they got too thirsty to attack that drive gauge. But yeah, man, like you said, this matchup experience, I mean, you could see it right here, 100%. He is so used to playing against that money button. The crouch medium punch from Luke, bro, 6 frames +1 on block. I mean, they're always pressing it. So yeah, awareness, you could tell the matchup experience is on another level here.
Like I said, it is just that's what, you know, they're going to do it. So it's just, do you have the counterplay? And obviously from that matchup experience, yes, he does.
Yes, indeed. And someone asked in the chat, will this be on YouTube after? Yes, I am planning on uploading it to YouTube. I see you, Cool Gray AJ. Hope you're doing well. But yeah, man, so next up, are you good with moving on to the next match? That's all I really had to say about that first one.
I will touch on it because we are going to see quite a few juries, but I gotta say, PR's Balrog's game plan with jury is really strong. Like, he plays like the footsie jury, and I think that's also helps against NL, who might not have had like as much matchup experience against the jury who like doesn't drive rush. They actually just use the absurdly long reaching normals, like the roundhouse, the Fierce, the forward Fierce. Like, all these normals, you just don't see that many juries use because they're always busy, you know, using low forward into drive rush.
Yeah.
So against some people who haven't had enough like experience against that to know the ranges, you can abuse that, and we saw that a lot. I think in this entire set, I saw PR Balrog do 2 neutral drive rushes, and one of them was on reaction to a whiffed button. Yeah. So like, that was a great time to do it because he can't get checked. And I think as the game goes on, people are getting better at checking the jury drive rush. So I think his gameplay is way more stable then maybe some other juries we'll see later on.
Yeah, and I like that you brought up his style of jury, right? Because after the set, they kind of interview PR Ball, right? They talk about the strength of the Red Rooster team. Because spoilers, they ended up sweeping the Versus Vortex team, right? They got like 40 points. Yeah, they're at the top of the leaderboards. Yeah, wild stuff from them. But he was talking about, he was like, I feel like we're very versatile. Sure, we have the repeat juries, but me and Ajax play very differently. That's something that he highlighted, right? So he was like, even if you're going up against one of us, you're not going to be ready for the other just based on our play styles. And I want to get into that Xian Ajax match now. It's going to be the next one up. And this is something else that I thought was a very big theme of the day, was having these important buttons that are going to counter poke the jabs or different buttons from the dominant footsie characters, right? And we saw Xian use this with stand medium punch very early on. I want to go over to that clip now. Let's check it out here. Stand medium punch. I believe it was this one right here. Yeah, off of a store, right? And I think off of a stock block string from jury, that's like a heavy mind game situation, right? There's lots and lots of different decisions to be made from this distance, from the frame advantage that the opponent has from blocking the stock. Like, it's very interesting. And Xian, he just swings with the stand medium punches, right? He whips one, connects with the other. There was no buffer behind it, but I wanted to go to the actual hitbox of this move. That's in the Blanca. We'll get to that later. But yeah, this, you can see, right? Just the tip of it is disjointed. And I feel like having these buttons at the ready is so important with that, like, very prevalent jab meta right now, where whether it's Ken or Cammy or these characters that have these strong jabs that they use like boxers just to keep you at that max range. Having something like this that has like a tip of the button disjointed is so important.
Yeah, I think especially as DJ, actually, he doesn't have that many other buttons to press in these kind of situations. I mean, normally you want to counter with a jab or something, but his crouch jab is 5 frames, his stand jab, it's not got the best range. So, like, pressing with mediums here is really smart. And again, the crouch medium, which you see a lot of the characters use, he doesn't really have one that reaches nearly that far. But that stand medium is really good, of course. Again, doesn't really get anything on the counter hit there, a bit too far away, and it wasn't buffered, but.
The principle of the matter,
right? Like, yeah, exactly. It kind of stops him it makes him think twice about it later.
Yeah, definitely. I just like when I see stuff like that, even if it doesn't end up in a big reward, I know the player's in the right headspace. Like, that's what you should be doing, right? So I like seeing that. And man, the end of this round though, it was so heartbreaking for Ajax. This was a tough way to end the first game. Right, he ends up knocking Xian down in the corner. He gets the hit. This is again what we talked about before, the triple light block string sequence. You can see Xian bets on because that first crouch light kick is minus, right? But if you chain it into the other lights, then your button's not going to work. It's going to get frame trapped.
Yep.
So Xian does bet on pressing a button after the first light, gets hit. He gets the drive rush, but he just goes in a medium punch. I'm not sure if he got confused with the counter hit notification popping up. He did have a jab after that first counter hit jab.
Might be the case.
So yeah, I don't know what's like ended up resulting in this drop, but that was game, right? He had 2 bars on deck. Like, this would have been, and he had another drive rush cancel available, so that would have been game. Does get the throw. Xian, of course, wakes up with a super, and this one side switches. It was rough from here.
This is honestly my favorite super in the game, I think, but you rarely see the side swap because it doesn't need it that often. And of course, base the DP. But yeah, that was probably the first instance of the like shakiness that we start to see from players.
Exactly.
And definitely, I mean, it's not the easiest thing to confirm off of 2 light hits. Because again, the first one was counter hit, which would have linked into the medium, but he'd already committed to the second jab, and yeah, it was unfortunate. And obviously, there's the Hail Mary DP, always going to get baited with a forward jump.
Yeah, and like, I like that you call it the Hail Mary DP. That's always going to get baited, right? Because like when situations like that happen to players where they drop combos and then they have to keep their offense going, or they have to start making these defensive choices when they only have one defensive choice to make because they're so low health, I feel like that's a very common panic scenario, right? That's when they do let the ODDPs fly, and I feel like you could see the atmosphere. Ajax is still relatively young compared to a lot of the players in SFL as well, so I think the jitteriness kind of got to him a little bit. But I mean, he put it together for the rest of the set for sure.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think this was basically my favorite set, or one of my favorite sets of the week, because it just showed, like, even though it was the most like Street Fighter 6 set, I'll say, where they definitely made use of the mechanics of the game. A lot of drive rushes, right, and a lot of parries. But it was just because the first game and the first round looked very dominating for Xian. But if you knew a little bit about the matchup and stuff, you could probably tell that Ajax had an excellent idea or had amazing matchup knowledge, but he was just getting caught on defense like a little bit. And, you know, SF6, that happens, right? Sometimes you just guess wrong a couple times, and, you know, it doesn't matter how well you know the matchup. Doesn't matter if you're an Evo champ, like, you can still get blown up. And I think the first thing I want to notice is if you go to the game real quick, and if you go to like 3750.
3750, I got you. Just a real quick back.
Yeah, basically here, the round start situation.
Oh, that was actually my next point as well. So like,
really?
yeah. So wait, this is round 2. Oh no, this is the very first round, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead with your point.
So basically, I think if this is the right time, he should go for the drive rush, and then he perfect parries the jab, and that already immediately sets into motion how to right here. That means that like for Xian, he's like, okay, next time I'm gonna have to throw, right? Because he's gonna start perfect parrying. And even though it's DJ and it's hard to check his drive rush, if you make him have to go for that throw, you get so much more time to check the drive rush.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you need to do in the matchup. And that's where I was immediately like, oh, Ajax, he knows what to do. Because funny enough, the next time the situation comes up, guess what? He does crouch strong to check the drive rush.
Oh, okay.
DJ
Exactly, right? So I want to just interlude a little bit because this was the very first round start, right? Like where we see it, like you said. He throws the projectile. He perfect parries the projectile as well. Gives him plenty of time to then perfect parry the drive rush in. And so the next round after that, literally round 2, Xian is the one Xian is the one that adjusts, right? He actually does fake fireball, baits out the parry from Ajax drive rush throw. Right, that was like a super sick adjustment. And then, as you said, I can't remember if it was the round after this.
It's the round. It's at 1945, I believe. So it might be the round after. And this game's quick, so yeah, 39:45.
Oh, 39:45. Okay, yeah. And then as you mentioned, and then the round after this, we see another round start, right? And then and then there it is. Yeah, and then he checks it, knowing that he's been looking for the drive rush at first, knew that he took advantage of the parry last time, was ready for that. Like I was like, it wasn't until this point where they actually started respecting each other at round start. They were like, okay, all our mind games are done. We've shown each other all our cards. Let's play some neutral at round start.
Yeah, finally. That's what I was talking about. It's more like the most SF6 set you could get, because then once they got past that barrier, they're like, all right, now we're playing the game.
yeah. It was really sick to see. I really like that a lot. And then we have another one. Oh, let me see. Is this the one where I have it? I think maybe it was this. Yeah. This I love seeing. The stand heavy punch from DJ has been kind of like a button that I think from both sides. Oh, I don't think that this is the right clip I have. But the stand heavy punch from DJ has been like a button that I think has been debated on how good it is, since the start of the game, really. I think it's this one here. Yes, this is the clip here. And I really love the forward advancing buttons for this specific high level reason, right? Is because a lot of the time when people will respect your wake up because they're looking for an OD reversal or invincible reversal or something like that, you're walking back if you don't make that decision, right? Like mid screen, you're usually walking backwards. And in that situation, you're like, okay, a lot of the time, once we get to this space and nobody has made a decision, it's kind of back to the neutral, right? And it's like, I don't think many characters have an advantage once we're at the walk back neutral, couple character spaces away thing. But when you have a forward advancing button like this, I feel like it blows up people's rhythm of pressing buttons so often. Like bam, right? Like if you're Ajax, you see no OD reversal, you're like, okay, I've done enough of giving up my turn. Now it's time to start going, right? And then that is the perfect time to have something like that.
Yeah, I also want to just point out quickly just the idea to walk back in that situation is just actually quite smart. Obviously you think, oh, well, Jury can just low forward you, right? Off these plus frames here.
True.
But the idea is that, well, if he low forwards, he's gonna go drive rush cancel, then he'll be in burnout. So you're pretty happy about that situation. So he's actually choosing the right time to walk back as well, which I really like. It's like the risk aversion or risk management, I guess you can call it. But yeah, the stand fierce is really good. Obviously it does whiff on crouches, so if they did press a crouching button, maybe it could low profile. And there's a good way to beat that move. But obviously, it is such a good move because even if you space it properly, it can be +1 as well. So when you walk back at this kind of range, even on block, obviously that caught the low forward, funny enough.
Yeah, look at that.
And
beast.
But it's a good ass normal.
It is. And I love that point you bring up where it was like you're going to be in burnout if you drive rush cancel. And Ajax only has one bar, right? It's not like he's going to be even able to go into a level 3 and take some of that burnout meter away. So yeah, the risk reward management for Xian right there, that's a great point to bring up. That was off the charts. But yeah, man, as much as we're highlighting Xian right now, like I said, Ajax really after this was the star of the set. Like, he really started turning it around in such cool ways. I think he really caught on to the fact that Xian is really good at pressing buttons back on minus frames. Like, he's one of the best people I see do it. Like, if you give him a button that's minus at a range where you're not going to be able... He even got caught trying to do it on the light block string frame trap, right? So he's always looking for something like that. That's something that, like, defensively, he likes to do a lot. So I think he started catching on to that. He started walking up and throwing. There was a couple of clutch situations. Let me see if I can find the clip. Like, on these minus frames where, like...
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, yeah. Here's one right here, yeah. So we got this, right? Where we ended up seeing you were okay, my man. You know, this is why I wanted you for the show, 100%. Like, you know, we're on the same wavelength here. Where, you know, Ajax throws a fireball. He's got a huge life lead, right? Xian's gonna have to come to him. Xian tries to kind of catch him off guard here. With I like this idea a lot.
This is great, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say this is great. Like the OD Sabat going over the fireball. Like, not if you were ready for it, but you know, clearly Ajax does know that matchup, knows that's a possibility. He stops and blocks. And like you're saying, take those minus frames. That's not the first time as well.
Yeah, it's not.
I think it's to close it out, right at the end, you know, he baits the low forward from DJ, and then does the, again, same thing, -6, like, okay, maybe I'm too far to punish, but takes the minus frames, walks up and throws them, and that's just like, it's such a good sequence.
Yeah, that's not something I ended up getting a timestamp for, but yeah, I took it down as well, right? He blocked the -6 crouch medium kick. It was a sketchy distance.
40-45, if you want to look.
Oh, what is it? What is it?
40-45.
Okay, yeah, perfect. Thank you.
So it should be in the corner, yeah. And it's just like kind of abusing the fact that if DJ wants to stop you walking back and baiting in the corner, he's gonna have to do the low forward, which is pretty minus. So if you just walk and block like that, look at that timing as well. Like, he's walking back to the perfect range and then stopping to block low.
Yeah.
Doesn't get caught, -6. Like, I think he probably could have punished from here, to be fair, you know. But instead takes the opportunity just to walk up and throw him. And yeah, it's just kind of it's really good. Again, matchup knowledge, just abusing that, you know, small weakness from DJ that he has to quite, you know, go into a commit or move if he wants to catch you walking back. So
yeah, and for Jury, like, her 6-frame punish, I mean, her crouch medium kick is like 7 or 8 frames. I think it's 8. So it can't be her crouch medium kick, right? I understand not fully committing to a button here, but like you said, maybe he could have got crouch strong out or something that would have worked. But yeah, I love the fact that he just walked up, threw him afterwards, right? Took the fact that he was -6. You saw Cien tried to press another button, but due to the minus frames, the throw was coming out too early. So yeah, I love the way Ajax really adjusted in that instance as well. Let me see.
Yeah, that was another surprise matchup for me. Xian, obviously, I mean, we both had the luxury actually to commentate Matt Gamer's 8, right? So
yeah,
looked extremely strong on the DJ, and for Ajax to come out and, you know, especially being 1 round away from losing to make it all the way back was yeah, super impressive.
Oh, 100%, man. And yeah, I really love the way he closed out the set. I thought that Xian was pretty susceptible to the drive rush tick throws. I felt like a lot of the time he was respecting the plus frames. Like, Xian, he has this way about him when it comes to the defense, right? Like, he's so good at taking advantage of the scenarios that are actually happening. Like, the minus frames come out, he's ready with the exact button he needs to start his offense. And then he respects a lot of the times when the plus frames are real and the frame traps are real. So in that instance, Ajax kind of started catching on to that, ended up taking advantage of it. I love the fact that here, right, he ends up getting a throw early. Like, we got a tech throw here. He's not discouraged from it. Even there, right? Ajax, if you drive rush cancel the light, you're going to be at like 1/4 of a bar of drive meteor. Maybe he doesn't want to take that risk. Maybe he just doesn't get the confirm he's looking for. So he goes for the throw attempt. And then the way he plays after this is perfect. Gets a throw here, gets another throw here. And you see the hesitation on the crouch jab right there. Just enough time to give Xian a moment to do something after conditioning him with the previous 2 throws. And now we got 4.5 drive meters. That means double drive rush cancel. I got level 3. You're not living through this. Yeah, I love the way Ajax bounced back from his early rockiness.
Yeah, it's just classic as well. And I think Jury is probably the most similar to like a Street Fighter 5 character that we have in Street Fighter 6, I gotta say. And that just small delay on your O-key to catch any sort of delay buttons is, you know, straight out of textbook Street Fighter 5 offense. So yeah, it was a clean way to close it out.
Yeah, definitely some sick stuff. So that pretty much what I had to say about the Ajax Xian set. What got anything else you want to go with on that?
I think that's pretty much all I had as well. Just other than, you know, I think it is probably actually not the funnest matchup for DJ. I think it must be a little bit hard to check Jury drive rush. I think in that set there was quite a few times that Xian tried to check it, and then got counter hit. You know, classic situation, right?
Mm-hmm.
And obviously he does have a flash kick, which is like perfect for checking, you know, drive rushes because it's so fast. But DJ just never wants to hold down charge. He's got way more fun things to do. So
yeah,
it's just it looked a little bit rough when he tried to check the drive rush. Could have been those nerves again though.
Yeah, 100%. Definitely could have been. And so the last set that we got in the Red Rooster versus Vortex set was that DCQ Bananakin JP mirror. Right, one of the things that always impresses me with the JP mirror is the fact that JP is the best character against JP. Like, it's so funny. Like, he's also like simultaneously the best character at stuffing Drive Rush, and in my opinion, like one of the top characters at using Drive Rush as well. So it's just so funny to see when those two characters clash. When there's pilots like this that are both very high level.
Yeah, funny enough, like weirdly in Europe we haven't had many JPs in a while. Like we have some strong JPs, we don't see them enter too many tournaments and stuff nowadays. So we've been pretty JP clean recently. It's been lovely, not gonna lie. But that also means I haven't seen JP in a while. So I was like, oh yeah, this character exists. And so I don't have many votes on this, but I do have at one of the timestamps I got is just Punk laughing this character, man. Lol.
There's definitely some this character moments in this game for sure.
Yeah. I've got many a salty JP, you know, moments in this, like in all my notes when we see him a bit later on as well. I'll bring those up when we get to the Chris CCH versus VX Bow set as well.
Bro, the way Chris dies in that set, like the last thing that happens to him, we'll get to it when we get to it, but it was ridiculous, 100%. So for Bananakin and DCQ, like one of the things that I saw early on, I love like the way Bananakin took advantage of the mirror match here. And what I mean by that is sometimes you use an option, and then when you put your opponent in that same situation to use that option, you counter them using that option, right? So that's what Bananakin does here. At the end of this round, he calls out classic JP two-piece, right? The stand fierce into the little purple swipe, calls it out with a drive impact, ends up taking the round for it, right? Great stuff from Bananakin. Now, when Bananakin puts DCQ in that situation for DCQ to call it out with a drive impact, Bananakin actually threatens with the command grab, bro. I loved the way he switched this up. Good. Like, he had just put the thought of using drive impact in DCQ's head. He's like, you're playing the same character as me, bro. You know what's coming. You know how to counter it. I just showed you. And then you can see the startup of the drive impact. Like, he legitimately goes for it, and Bananakin just counters outright.
I love that in your notes as well. You call it like the purple spinny thingy. Like,
yeah, swipey thing. I don't know, bro.
Can't remember what it's called, but yeah, I mean that's such a sick moment. I feel like JP's command grab got to be one of the most successful to hit all the time, man. They just always sneak it in. It's the last thing you expect from this type of character.
100%. Like, I love that JPs are starting to get a little bit more brave with it. I feel like for a while I saw them not wanting to utilize it a lot, but now we're seeing it a little bit more once they know that they've really trained and conditioned people to block. So that was great stuff. This is another instance to me of JP being the best character against JP. Like, the fact that he sets up Departure in the corner here, you connect with the OD Amnesia, right? But, like, if you're not punished outright, like, JP actually has to respect the Departure. Like, he can't just take advantage of the Amnesia homing projectiles.
Just so smart. I mean, there were so many moments of that, you know, JP being so good versus JP. I think at, like, 51-30, they get this, I can't remember which, I think it was via DCQ, gets a nasty punish on the Departure window teleport.
Yeah, it's this one.
Oh yeah, right here. Like, what other character gets this reward? Like, it's so hard for characters to get this much, unless your name's like Ken.
Yeah.
You know, to get that much off that free juggle state. Like, you know, as a Garl, I can do what crouch fist into flash kick. That's about it. But this man gets like 40% of your life. Like, oof. What a read. And then we see, I think Bananakin also tries that again, or tries it on DCQ. It doesn't quite work out.
Yeah.
He traded with the jump in, but yeah, it's
so good. And then, this was a rough. A lot of what was cool about watching Red Rooster is that they had a couple of rough losses on Ajax and Bananakin's side, but they really bounced back. Like, I don't know if it was the support of the team, just them rising to the occasion. They're great players for sure, But they had some rough losses. This was a big rough loss to me from Bananakin here, right? He goes with the parry. Like, the parry after the crouch medium kick from JP's, they love that shit. Like, they are legit addicted to parrying after crouch medium kick, right? So he goes for it here. And he ends up getting punish countered after the parry. I don't know if he like thought he was going to recover from the parry again and tried to parry again to catch it. I don't know if he just didn't switch his block on the cross up right. But during the recovery of parry, if you're not blocking the right way, you get punish countered. So this happens, and I think that kind of caught him off guard a little bit. I don't think he was expecting to like get the punish counter on the cross up jump. And when you get like put in a space like that, the throw is always the security blanket, right? People always want to press the throw. They think the tech throw's coming. Man. And yeah, DCQ just blows him up for this. He ends up burning him out.
Enough, I have this in my notes, and it's just, you can't tech that, bro.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
all I got. You can't, because obviously, you know, while it's not going to kill, you get put into burnout versus JP, and you're JP, so you have very limited options. Actually, I think Bananakin almost gets a nasty read here with the normal amnesia on the DI, but it's just like the active frames just slightly run out right there. Not quite long enough, but...
and you know why he does this amnesia, right? It's because he's addicted to pressing parry after crouch medium kick, but he can't press parry. He can't parry and burnout. So he was like, I'll amnesia after it. This will work. But unfortunately, Drive Impact too long of a startup.
Yeah. Yeah, unlucky. But yeah, I mean... I'm surprised that Bananakin did manage to take it though.
Yeah. Overall, like I think he had the better crouch medium kick mind games. Like he was looking for parries and amnesias afterwards, and both smart options. I think they started working out later rather than working out, you know, now in the moment. But he had another rough loss as well. I forgot about this. Oh my god. I don't think I've ever seen 4 drive meter bars drain as quickly as this clip here, bro. So he gets the knockdown here on the level 3, right? And he's like, all right, I'm taking DCQ to the woodshed. Sets up the OD departure. I'll spin 2 here. I'll drive impact, spin another one. DCQ driving, impacting just like a frame or 2 later, right? Ends up deleting the rest of his drive bar. He had 4 drive bars at 87 seconds, and he is empty at 85 seconds.
Literally, I love the sound of the being burnt out though in this game, because it actually sounds like a game over, like a classic game over sound, like doo-doo-doo, like power down, like, it's over, man. And it basically was from this situation.
Yeah, 100%. So, but yeah, like we said, despite these rough losses, right? Like this was luckily for them the 3 out of 5 set. So even though DCQ ended up going up 2-1, Bananakin was able to bounce back, take it for himself, take it for the team for the full sweep. Very impressive stuff from Red Rooster, man.
Yeah. I think I only got one more thing to say about it. And if you jump to 54-15 and then put the sound on, that's where we see that the drive rush hilarity between these 2 characters. How they're still good at checking each other, but they're also, it's really dangerous to check this character.
Medium punch again.
As well. I'll let the sound play because
DCQ's jump timing has been immaculate the entire set.
Going for just a hold on the parry this time around to deal with the drive rush. Nice. And now the game is starting to get deeper right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, he gets a link off of that too. Bananakin having the stronger normal, leading to a better plus frame scenario and able to get that link. That was so smooth. The overhead.
The punk hearty laugh is a treasure, bro. That needs to be on every soundboard it could possibly be on. But definitely a great stuff from Red Rooster, like we said, sweeping the competition. But yeah, the JP terror, the not in there, as the next match we got was, I believe, what was it, Team Endemic versus, well, let me check. Let me double check the teams. I'm forgetting right now. Yeah, Team Endemic versus UIU. That's what it was. We had VX Bow versus Chris CCH, which, yeah, there was some rough times for Chris CCH in the set.
Yeah, there was a lot of moments, but definitely, I mean, this was a lot of, I mean, VX Bow being so clinical with the JP, honestly. I mean, I feel like at one point, Chris CH's partner, I think it was Reynold, said, yeah, you're forcing too much. And I kind of disagreed because we saw so much perfect parry on like the Ghost and then doing nothing. So like perfect parrying into like just standing there. And I feel like you have to threaten something. You just perfect parried his projectile. And yeah, you're not going to be able to get punished because the Ghost has like such low recovery. But like, at least, you know, maybe drive rush, try to bait something. We see, you know, people like Angrybird and Daigo do a lot of like drive rush, empty into heavy Dragon Lash. And like, if he tries to check you and you get punish count with that, huge reward. So like, I feel like he could have done a little bit more to like get in because he's doing the right stuff, but then he'd do nothing with it. So I felt like that was where he went down. And then obviously on defense, you know, it happens. It's JP, man.
Yeah, and like to me, Chris CCH was it felt like he was the most nervous player I saw. Like just like I could be mistaken, but he looked literally like a little shaky on camera after the first loss, right? And he definitely seemed like he was second guessing himself. Like you said, Reynolds was like, you're forcing a little, you need to be a little bit more patient. I think Chris even said himself that he was forcing a little bit too much. So yeah, I think it was just kind of the environment. Day one of SFL kind of getting to him a little bit.
True.
But yeah, I mean, VX Bao, though, on the other hand, such clean play. Like, I want to, like, this round from start to finish was just perfectly played from him.
Yeah, this round.
Like, look at this. Like, immediately it was like, bruh, drive impact back on the stand. Fierce. Bang. And then, like, the way he attacks the drive meter, right? Like, look at this. Like, so Chris, he has, what, like, he has 5.5 bars to start this sequence. Watch how quickly that whole drive meter is gone because he attacks it. Drive impact, obviously, backs getting it, goes into level 2. Let me get a couple of more drive impacts, right? He gets one right here, gets one at the very end. This puts Chris at, what, a third of a bar, right? And now this is what was something that I really want to go over this more on, is the fact that, like, Chris, not even Chris, but players tend to jump out of the corner a lot in this game, right? Like, that's a viable option. People like to walk back and commit to certain timings or look for certain timings to blow up your wake up button or whatever have you. So jumping out of the corner is very viable in this game. But one of the things that I feel like people aren't taking enough advantage of is the fact that empty jumping lets you block and tech throws during your landing recovery. If you press a button in the air, you got 3 frames of landing recovery that are punish counter state. Right, so it's even worse in this game to get your landing frames punished because of the punish counter state. Now, Chris, in this instance, he commits to a really late jump light kick here, right? And that opens up the landing frame punish counter throw, and now you're burnt out, right? So I really feel like players are going to have to start kind of training ourselves to like almost react when we're jumping to the opponent's spacing, because if you're just kind of committing to something, like a lot of the time, people are just walking forward and punishing landing frames. They get a way bigger reward out of just straight anti-airing you, right? So a lot of players are looking for it.
Yeah, I literally totally agree. I mean, I think it's one of these things where because as well you can perfect parry cross-ups, and we see a lot of people do that as a way of beating them in the anti-air situation. It's genuinely, if you're crossing up your opponent and you visually confirm they're not doing anything, you shouldn't press anything. Like, yeah, it's never worth that risk. And the amount of characters as well that have big counter hit confirms, like, you know, Blanca and stuff like that, where if they catch you counter hit, they can actually get confirm off of it as well. It's like, you should just never press, especially because of that landing frame stuff that you just mentioned. Like, again, unless you visually confirm they whiff something and you can get a punish, I think it's just not even worth getting that extra block stun. Like, just get out of there. Like, you know,
legit.
If they cross cut you, you're happy. You know, if you land, just, you know, take the throw, of course. And then obviously I'm sure we'll see the meta adapt as well. If people start doing that, people are going to start, you know, they're going to cross you up, or you're going to cross them up, and then they'll neutral jump, and then you try and land in tech, you get blown up. Like, but yeah, it's one of those things where it is. I love the mechanic, and we've seen basically the best players start abusing that now, and we see that more and more often. That actually the best way to anti-air someone is not cross-cutting them if they jump out the corner. It's just you walk under them, you catch those landing frames.
Yeah.
And we see more and more people get used to doing that, and that's honestly amazing to see, because keeping that corner is so important in this game.
And I mean, it really, like, I really love the design of a lot of this game. And again, as you mentioned, it's just gonna make the mind games evolve further, right? Like, there's answers to all of this stuff. It's just like really depending on which one you go with and how your opponent responds to it. So yeah, I love it as well. And then the way Chris loses this set, bro, oh my god, this was a real, like, I tend to not be one of those people that is just like, oh, the top tier moment or whatever. This was a freaking top tier moment here, bro. JP just gets raw hit low, not counter hit, not punish counter, not nothing. Combos into OD spike, into level 3, not CA. He lost 50% of his life off this. What?
I'm salty as hell, bro.
Like, he died?
MVP, but I watched this. This isn't even the worst part. If you go back to like 12:30 before that, this is like actually blew my mind, because I didn't know this. Like, I learned this right now. But we see the TC, the like round, I think it's the roundhouse into the
yes,
TC. Yeah. Wait, is it here? Yeah, it's here. This shit's only -3. OPDP, that's safe. There's like no other target combo in this game.
Yeah,
is safe. Basically, all of them have to cancel it to some sort of true block string or something to make it safe versus a DP. But his is just -3? What's that? What? I'm losing my mind. And it's off a plus on block normal?
Yeah, off of a plus on block normal, bro.
Oh, like, I saw that and I was like, I hate GP so much more. And then obviously, immediately after, he died from 50% to a full screen projectile to hit him low, man.
Like, yeah, exactly. 50% low hitting projectile, not counter hit, not nothing. Like, it was wild to see for sure. So,
that's great confirmed. Don't get me wrong. That was a sick confirm.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, so it was a sick confirm, but to me, he was just gonna do OD spikes anyway, bro. To me, but maybe maybe he get raw hit confirmed it,
Nah, he was doing it. But, I mean, look, imagine if Gal hit with a boom from full screen to 50%. Like, nah, it's just not happening. A low hitting boom.
Yeah,
that could be high. It's hard to react. I mean, for full screen, you'd hope to be able to.
Oh man. So yeah, that was definitely rough going. Next up, we had a Dual Kevin versus Samurai, right? Dual Kevin representing UIU, Samurai rocking Endemic. Both veterans of SFL. Samurai, I think, has been in like damn near every season of SFL. So he looked pretty comfortable in the atmosphere. I think Dual Kevin, after the first game, right? I think like during the first game, afterwards, a lot of the statements said by both teams were kind of the same sentiment. Like we heard Samurai, he got the first game. And Chris ECH was like, he's not creating his own opportunities. He's waiting for you to make a mistake. You're in control, right? And Knuckle Dude told Dual Kevin, he's committing more than you are. Like, you're filling him out, which is understandable, but he's going for it. And I feel like that was really what Dual Kevin needed to hear. And the one game of filling him out, I think, is what Dual Kevin needed as well. He's that type of player. So after the first game, he was really able to take control.
Yeah, I think, oh, that's such a sick bait, by the way.
Yeah.
Love that. I feel like this is a really fun set, to be fair. It was a long, slow one.
It was.
You don't get to see too often. And I also think both players weren't like 100% confident in the mirror. Like, I feel like there's a lot of missed opportunities. There's so many great perfect parries on these fireballs, and they're always in range to punish, and instead they just drive rush in.
Yeah.
When it was like they could have just drive rush, they could have just perfect parry sweep and things like that, or even like roundhouse might have reached. But we didn't really see that, so I was quite unfortunate. But they still had a lot of great matchup knowledge either way. Obviously, playing the character, you get pretty good stuff, but I don't know how often you're playing the mirror. I think, that's sort of the thing you gotta work on.
True.
But yeah, I think outside of this, the standout things to me were the use of drive reversal as well. Like, in this kind of slow game, where neither player is really committing their drive gauge that offensively, you can use drive reversal really effectively, and I think Samurai, even both of them actually used it really good on things like, they block a low forward, they just drive reversal out. Like, they'll, get rid of the... If they drive rush in, it'll punish. If they do like any cancel into any special, it'll punish as well. And getting that small amount of like that edge, like we're on, I guess technically your life lead, but just getting out of that pressure situation seemed to be really valuable. So like I said, especially when it's like a slow gaming, and you got a life lead and you're just trying to preserve that, because we saw many of these rounds almost went to time.
Yeah.
I think that is something that is good to see, because we don't really see drive reversal be used at all.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's really a great strat with Luke, because as you mentioned, he's like one of the best characters in the game at playing with the lead, right? So that's what they were looking to do a lot of the time. Like, drive reversal off, it's economically efficient if it comes off a drive rush cancel, right? Like 3 bars versus 2. Let's get back to the neutral. I got a life lead. I'm going to make you sacrifice more life getting in on me. But man, you talked about some of these sets going down to the wire. This had to be the longest 7 seconds of Samurai's life here. In game 3, in the round 1, right? He ODDP's out. He's like, I'll bird myself out. I'm going to ODDP. Comes within a pixel of killing Dual Kevin. Now 7 seconds are on the clock. You got to manage 7 seconds with your back towards the corner. The drive impact threat is looming. And the way Dual Kevin played this was just genius. You could tell Samurai, he buckled under the pressure. There was just too much worry about the drive impact, about getting closer to the corner. And Dual Kevin knew that. Dual Kevin let the threat do the heavy lifting. He's like, all right, I'll walk forward. Once I get in a drive impact range, Samurai jumps. He doesn't want to eat it. My anti-air is ready. Let's get to the corner again. Samurai worried about getting drive impacted on the wake up, just commits to the level 1. Dual Kevin patient as ever. Ooh. Gets the kill before the timer. I love that he went into OD DDT as well.
No,
like,
I don't love that, man. I don't love that. That was like, you're saying he was genius for that. That was all genius except that OD DDT, because the timer was. Imagine if it was like 1 second later, he doesn't get the last hit in the DDT before the timeout, and he loses, man. Any other thing would have won him the game, and he did OD DDT. I was like, there's no. Even if he just even if he didn't do DDT and he just let the normal OD flash knuckle rock, it would have killed. Oh, I was like, my heart. If I was his teammate, I would never let him live. I'm like, bro, I swear, if you you make that clutch comeback and you throw it away with that OD DDT for no reason. I mean, it looks cool. You don't see it very often. I appreciate it, but oof. My heart almost stopped when he did that.
He literally made it as dramatic as possible. That's why I appreciate it. Like, he really went with the move that was like, you might actually get timed out, but good stuff from Dual Kevin.
4 seconds for the damage to come out. Like,
yeah. So that was a Dual Kevin coming back, taking it 2-1 over Samurai, right? So at this point in that set, it is a 2-point lead or a 20-point lead for UIU, right? And the way SFL works is in the last game, it's a 3 out of 5, and that counts for 20 points as well. So Endemic needed Reynolds to take NuckleDu down to force a final game, and that's what Reynolds did, right? Big ups to Reynolds for really showing out. Obviously, the matchup feels, you know, a little bit in favor of JP. I know NuckleDu hates this matchup quite a bit. But, yeah, man, nonetheless, NuckleDu is thought by many people to be the best guy in the world. So the fact that Reynolds was still able to clutch this out in a 3 out of 5 was very impressive. I thought his teleports were wild. Like, he had such great usage of the teleports, not only to dodge booms, but to dodge drive rushes. It really felt like he was prioritizing getting the departure on the screen.
Yeah, I think my first notes for this match is like, Giga Chad Gal player deciding to play a first to 3 versus JP, because obviously they were they were technically the home field team, so they got to counter pick, and they decided, hey, why don't we let NuckleDu go into the Gal? They had that pre-planned. So I mean into the JP. So I mean, to willingly go into one of your weakest matchups, I guess, is a pretty big statement, and I think Reynolds kind of put NuckleDu in his place for that.
Yeah, you know, and I understand it a little bit. Like, as you mentioned, it's definitely a rough matchup. But NuckleDu has so much experience against JP. He plays against so much JP every single week in a tournament environment too, not even just in ranked or anything like that, because he constantly enters weeklies. That I think they felt confident, right? But at the same time, Zen was the other player. Right, or Jen, excuse me, was the other player on UYU, and he has a massive experience against JPs. Like, there's so many JPs out in Asia. Obviously, I think he's staying like in Eastern Canada right now or something like that for school. Yeah. But I mean, he's played against JPs so often that I thought he would have been comfortable to send up against Reynolds for sure.
Yeah, I'm interested to see the decision making, but again, maybe he just does feel confident in the matchup. Maybe it's something about Reynolds, but I just feel like Reynolds was definitely, I mean, he just played so well. Like, I think he probably wasn't expecting Reynolds to know the matchup that well. Like I said, having that priority on the departure portal, being able to check basically everything Gal does. And if you, I think if you jump to like 137.45, but yeah, I also like, this was definitely a lot of NuckleDu nerves, which was quite weird for me. But yeah, here he's got him in like the Gal spot. He doesn't have to do anything.
Yeah.
And Reynolds knows that. He's like, I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to do something. And the perfect counter with the OD amnesia. I mean, yeah, it's just clean, because he knows there's no, what's the point of doing anything right now? He just knows NuckleDu's going to go in. So he just waits for that. And then that's why you just can't throw this guy in the corner, man. It's just risk reward is, you know, you're got the life lead. You can chill out there. NuckleDu should have just stayed there for the entire game if he had to. For the entire 70 seconds, he could have stayed there.
Yeah.
And
with that one combo, right? Look at how much of a life advantage Reynolds has now after that one combo. And I'm glad you pointed this out too, because one of the consistent answers Reynolds went with in this matchup is when he saw a fireball and he thought the drive rush was coming, it was parry, and as soon as he saw the drive rush, the amnesia afterwards, right? Nullifies the overhead, nullifies the throw. Like, you got to hard bait it out, and dude just wasn't looking for that.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he baited out a single time, did he? Obviously, mid-screen, you're not really that afraid of the amnesia, but hey, it still gets you out of that pressure situation. So Reynolds was really happy with it either way.
Yeah, Reynolds, he made great use of that. He level 3'd a Sonic Boom like 3 times in the set as well. Like, I was just like, bruh.
So good. I mean, yeah, punishing like booms in any capacity like that, especially with level 3, is just so good. In a Zona versus Zona matchup, yeah, he was just so clean. That's what I mean. He was so ready for the matchup. And yeah, I don't think NuckleDu was. He did almost make it back right as well. Like, right at the end, you know, he basically lost to himself, unfortunately.
Yes.
So who knows what the set would have looked like if we didn't see these drops, or, you know, I think I even, early on in this set, I think Reynolds' teammate goes, all right, he's nervous because he misses a flash kick. I mean, this is NuckleDu, man.
Yeah.
And he just does jump light kick, and he's like, all right, well, clearly something's up here.
And this was the moment you were talking about, right? Do at the end of this round, yeah, here it is right here. He ends up burning Reynolds out, right? And he has the corner pressure with Guile. He gets the hit he's looking for here, I believe. Yeah, and Dude is usually so automatic with this stuff. He does like a triple light drive rush cancel combos for fun. Like he's always doing stuff like this. Does another drive rush, and yeah, just I imagine that was supposed to be level 1 after the crouch medium punch. Doesn't end up coming out, and yeah, I mean because of that, now you're burnt out up against Reynolds. Who, I mean, he was scared also to just go for straight chip because Reynolds has the level 3 on deck. And he's already level 3 boom stubs to this point, right? You don't just want to go for an easy chip out.
Yeah, I think the only thing I'm missing here is like, it's just so scrambly. And I feel like NuckleDu definitely could have sung back fierce into super and it would have chipped him out.
Yes, for sure.
But it's kind of so scrambly. You drop your combo. It's the last thing you're really thinking about. And being a charged super, it's just a lot less straightforward.
Yes.
To be like, I'm going to press my normal and then go into super. It's like, okay, have I got the charge? I'm going to have to do it off of a backwards normal. So that removes half of the normals I can do it off of. So now I got to really think about, you know, do I have the time to do it? So I think right there, NuckleDu's like, I'm just going to try and, you know, catch him, slip him with the sub-art kicks. And I mean, Reynolds was just so clean, so clutch, just did nothing, waited to be plus, and then punished NuckleDu overextended, man.
Yeah, when you have a set like saving drop happen, it's so tough to get your composure and get to the next step, right? Because like as you said, he still had the super, Reynolds was still in burnout, Chip was still on the table, but like when the disappointment just comes at you in a wave like that, it's so tough to.
It's tough.
Yeah. And I just want to point out, nice little Shopify Rebellion on the UIU jersey here. I like that they're keeping his real sponsor on the jersey as well. That's cool.
Oh,
I didn't notice that early. Now, Endemic's most genius move of this entire set to me was saving Flash Metroid Blanca for the best of 1.
Yep.
Oh, sorry, hold on.
It worked so well for a first to 1 because you could just tell Zen was just not mentally prepared. Like, he's basically just doing autopilot DJ stuff, like bait with just cool, like as if he's going to catch a tech. But I mean, look, it's Blanca. He's going to do anything but tech. He will just do everything that isn't teching because he's got so much better reward off of doing other stuff. So Just Cool's never going to catch that. And yeah, I mean, all it takes in the first to 1 is to be a little bit overzealous. And I think, yeah, Zen got caught on the flash kick a few times. It was such a genius move, like you said.
Dude, yeah, like the very first round of this, there was just OD reversals on OD reversals. Like everybody was just popping off. Nobody was taking any meaty pressure. So I was like, okay, well, that's a hell of a way to start this, right? Flash does get the better of him here. And then this, I think, goes back to your point about being a bit uncomfortable in the matchup. We see the Lightning Beast Blanca Ball follow-up get parried, but he presses while Blanca's actually still in the air, right? He doesn't get the grounded punish. He doesn't get the combo he's looking for. And that's just, again, when you, like, let an opportunity slip by you up against Blanca, it feels that much worse, right? Now you're like, now I have to go back into the Lightning Beast shenanigans, all this nonsense. And yeah, I believe Flashes baits out an OD here. Yeah, then 25 points for Endemic.
Yeah, like I guarantee, like this in the first of 2, like it doesn't go that one-sided.
Yeah,
like maybe Zen still, Flash Metroid still takes it, but like it was just a case of like, oh, I'm playing against Blanca, and that by the time you realize that the round was already lost, and then you've only got 1 round left, and yeah, well, it takes
and that round he has Lightning Beast.
Yeah, exactly. So it doesn't matter how well you know the matchup, you still gotta guess. Like, yeah, super clutch. I'm surprised how strong UIU started off to then actually lose the set. Technically, you know.
Yeah.
It was impressive stuff from Reynolds as well. I mean, I think last time we saw him was the CPT, right, losing to Snake Eyes.
Yes.
So
yeah.
I think a lot of people didn't really expect too much, but hey, he looked really, really good.
Absolutely, yeah. Big ups to Endemic, and yeah, I mean it's a volatile format SFL, like you said. You could technically both set wise they were 2-2, right? But Endemic's the one that won the set, the 25 points. They got the 3 out of 5. They got the best of 1. It's the most important sets with their way. And so next up we had, I mean, these are the big dogs, right? I think everybody, I'm surprised they didn't save this set for the last episode of SFL.
Yeah,
I'm very surprised this was on the first SFL.
I do like it though, because a lot of people, hey, this is like, they looked at Angrybird, Big Bird, Punk, and Nephew, and like, how does anyone beat this team, man?
Yeah.
And then all it takes is men or RD, man. That's the solution.
Man, I think there was a There was a meme recently that it was like it was on Damascus's Twitter. Oh, my bad, I went to the wrong screen.
Yes.
You seen it? Yeah, where they were like, how did somebody?
Reliable?
Yeah. They were like Wanted. They were like, who are we gonna send up to beat Angrybird and Wanted? And it was the SpongeBob All Reliable, and it was just Men RD posted up, and I was like, bruh, that's the right answer for sure.
Yeah, that was good memes. I mean, look, he's the only person competing, and I think, I mean, we'll get to it. I don't want to talk about too much about that matchup yet, just yet. Obviously, because we did start off with that Big Bird versus Kaba. And this is just, I mean, I've seen Big Bird play this matchup so much against like Akainu, you know, against even Knuckle-Doo, Gamers 8, things like that. And yeah, I mean, Marissa's just such a scary character to play as Guile. It kind of makes it feel like you can't play Guile in this matchup because
it's very weird.
It's too scary to get hit. It's too scary to get hit.
Exactly, right? Like, all those booms that you're like, oh, I could eat, like, somebody jumping on it once or twice, whatever. You can't, how much you're able to eat against Marisa drastically goes down. Like, which then it makes you second guess yourself way more than almost any other matchup with Guile. And one of the things that I really noticed about Big Bird in this matchup, and he might just do this in general, is after long pokes like this, like the forward heavy kick or the forward medium punch, he loves just like pressing a special after, whether it be Gladius, Superman punch. It just feels like a lot of the time people are still foreign to that type of spacing after forward heavy kick, and so they try to press something and it's just not in range, and he's ready for it every time.
I mean, I think it's just smart as a Marissa player to do anyway. You should just abuse the fact that you got such good armor frames. Versus a character that doesn't have the best lows. Obviously, low forward is good, but reward is not. So, against stuff like her armor frames, you can just do regular Gladius. You're feeling fine. And even like Big Bird is like, oh, okay, I can Superman and get flash kick a few times because I got so much health. Yeah. And the reward of landing that Superman punch is too big, and it breaks up Kaba's rhythm. He can't do what he wants. And even if he gets punished by like 5 flash kicks throughout the set, he doesn't care, man. He doesn't care. He doesn't have to care.
He really doesn't.
I mean, yeah, Big Bird's just like spacing was just immaculate. Like, he always is in that range to threaten with Superman punch and Gladius. So it's just like, you can tell when he's doing like the micro walks forward, all he's doing is just getting a range where he can Gladius a boom, and then suddenly, you know, punish you just for doing one, like a special move that, you know, Guile is known to do. So yeah, it was just such a really sick just matchup knowledge from Angrybird. Yeah, obviously his Marissa's just too clean.
Like, I don't think he was ever full screen during the set, right? Like, like you mentioned, he just found his way in every time. He made, like, this was the farthest he ever got. And look at it, and as soon as the furthest he ever gets, what happens? Perfect parry on the boom, right into Superman punch, catching the second boom, and now we're in. And now, you know, it's my time.
Now you're guessing.
Yeah, so even with the flash kick, like, yeah, like, he just keeps walking forward, parrying it out. Like you mentioned, he just knows that all these resources that he has, this patience. Kaba's doing a great job in this round, but, like, you have to do a great job the entire round against Marisa. Like, as soon as you don't do a good job, you're dead.
If it's not over, like, it really ain't over. Like, you know, even if you land 10 flash kicks, if you still got 1 HP, guess what? She still can kill you very easily. And I think as well, just the abusing like the Scutum armor frame on like minus frames and things like that. Like, he did the forward medium punch on block, which is really nasty move, by the way. And then just doing Scutum, like the stance. Versus Guile is especially really smart because he doesn't have the best walk speed, and he's always going to be holding back charge anyway. Yeah, so true. He has to walk up to throw you, and he has to give up so much to do that. He doesn't really want to. So you can get away with doing that armor there pretty free without getting punished counter throws compared to like against other characters. And it was just, yeah, he just knew that matchup so good.
Yeah, you just tell Big Bird is much more ready for the Guiles than the Guiles are ready for him. So cleaned up combo well 2-0. Then our next set was, I believe, Xiaohai versus Punk, Jury versus Cammy. Let me see. What do you think about this matchup?
I don't know how Punk is allowed to jump so much versus some of the character with some of the best antis in the game. But it really is just Punk, man. He's like an artist, I swear. Like, he's just jumping at so many different timings, spacing, empty jumping, dive kicking. Like, he's just rotating through all these options just in the first round, in the first game. And it just, you can tell Xiaohai's just sweating. Like, he doesn't know how to react, and so he doesn't. And it just makes Punk walk all over him, man. Like, it was, I mean, I think this was a bit of a maul-in personally, but it was just like, he just looked so in control, and I don't know what it is about Punk, man. He's just, well, apart from some drops, you know, happens, but
yeah, like we said, again, that was a theme of today. A lot of like uncharacteristic execution errors.
Yeah, I think Punk is, you know, if I was going to divide like 3 types of players as like the most common like players, you know, I think like for example, someone like Angrybird, he basically plays super optimally, and you know, he's never really making a bad decision. You know, you got people like like Mena RD, who basically they just live in your mind, and they play that mind game so well that it's like they, you know exactly what you're gonna do at all times.
Mena himself has said like, my goal is to make the opponent uncomfortable, right? Like that's what he's trying to do. Yeah.
And then Punk is just that player. He's just got so much creativity and just genuine physical ability to react and just perform like and execute. It just feels so hard to play against him because you don't know what he's going to do next. And like if you jump to like 213.50, I think this is something that I think Punk does just the best. And all he does is look for, it's just movement into a whiff punish. That's all it is. But the way that Punk makes it look so easy, he just messes up your own rhythm. So you can see walking back and forward, back and forward, and he you know, he's expecting to walk forward here, he walks back. I don't know how he does it. So, but like that rhythm, he breaks it up, and Xiaohai, exactly when Xiaohai wanted to press a button.
Bro, I legitimately have another timestamp for you on that same point. Like I literally have in my notes that Punk is really good at whiffing a couple buttons and then moving in a fashion that makes you think he's gonna press a button again. And in that moment, that's when he walks back and whiff punishes your button. Like it's wild to see. I have it for end of round 1, game 2. So let me get to game 2 real quick. And it was just like, he whiffs like crouch medium punch twice, like walks back in, walks back. And I was just like, bro, yeah, right here. So watch. He'll whiff the crouch medium punch twice. And then the way he moves after it, I don't know what it is. He's like a magician. Like he's legitimately like, it's wild to see the way he kind of plays with his opponent's mind. Like just the slight movements right there, right? Like it really feels like that timing where Xiaohai pressed the button was like, any other player would have counter hit them trying to press their 3rd button, but Punk just like like look, for whatever reason he has the magic touch and he has that feel where he just walks back at that moment, gets the whiff punish, knows exactly when you're thirsty after seeing a couple of whiffs. Like he's so good at telling what the opponent wants to do. And man, there was a couple of times today too where I thought like the decisions he made. So like, oh man, let me get myself together before I make this point, because like I'm getting on some philosophizer shit right now. But like, go ahead, man. Like when it comes to making decisions in games, like switching up from your conditioning of the opponent, right? Like you're putting them in the same scenario a couple of times. You're doing the same decision so they get used to it. Obviously to set up you doing something else later when they go to counter that decision, right? But when you do that is so important, right? And I feel like Punk picks the best moments to do that. Like the way he switches up his decisions. It's not just like mid-screen. Man, Xiaohai was real mad about the way that ended. But
I would be too.
Like with the way Punk chooses to change up those decisions, like when he does it, it's some of the best in the business. Like it's not just like mid-screen to get a hit, to get a life lead. It's like there was one time where he did a dive kick after blocking a stock from Jury, like a stock block string. He did a dive kick, caught Xiaohai pressing a button, and it ended up in a corner carry, right? And he only did the dive kick after that store block string one time, and it ended up in a corner carry. He rode the round to it. Another time he did a store, he did dash up back throw. And like, again, we talked about the minus frames. If it's not punishable, you can walk up, take the throw. He only did that one time as well, and it was when his back was to the corner to put Xiaohai into the corner. Like, these things, like...
Again, he is just so creative. Like, is one of those players that you will never catch on an autopilot. Like, he is always thinking about what to do. Like, I think it wasn't even in SFL, man. It was just, I was watching his stream and he was just playing ranked, and he does like some crazy, you know, he's just playing Cammy and he does like a nice like whiff punish into the corner carry, into cross up with the jump, into immediate OD spin knuckle, into the DI reset for the stun. And I'm like, bro, he's so many steps ahead, and like this is the thing is, I know this isn't pre-planned. He's never done that before, no doubt. He's just made it up, and that's just like, I mean, he's just so creative. It's so hard to beat that guy.
It is his like processor, how quickly he processes the moment, and like his ability to weigh the risk reward when he chooses to switch up his decisions. Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best in the world for a reason. And he consistently stuffed drive rushes with Cammy's crouch medium punch, like the whole setup against Xiaohai, too. Like, he just was never letting him drive rush for free.
Yep, sorry, Xiaohai. I'm sure we'll highlight you next week.
Yeah, exactly.
This week was not your week, bro.
No, definitely was not. And, you know, I feel like almost every week is Angrybird's week, but this week it was not Angrybird's week, man. Mena RD was able to take this set 3-1. And he started with the Blanca, right? We saw lots of standard drive rush stand heavy kicks from Blanca early. And again, this is why I had this here earlier. Again, it's very similar where it's only a little bit disjointed, right? But it's the exact amount you need to try to catch people checking your drive rush or putting the jabs out there. Like, I really like the way he was utilizing this, even though he closed out the set with Luke.
Yeah. You say it's only a little bit disjointed, but when you get caught jumping and you can see how much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is a big win, not gonna lie, for Mena RD. I mean, obviously being beaten in a tournament by him so many times now. But to me, this matchup is like the man who is always right versus the guy who makes you wrong. Like, and I think that's the best to describe it. And this time, Mena RD just made Angrybird look like a bit of a scrub almost. You can tell how frustrated he's getting, and there was a lot of drop combos, things like this. Looked a little frustrated, a little bit shaky as well, and that's coming from the Evo champ. So it was a good set, but I feel like Mena RD just had full control basically in the mind games especially.
And, you know, we've been talking about attacking the drive meter. That's something that's been a big topic of discussion when you talk about the high-level meta for Street Fighter 6, right? And I want to go to, I think, round 2, game 2, if I'm not mistaken, that Mena, like, you could tell Mena actually takes advantage of Angrybird trying to attack his drive meter a little bit too hard in the corner. It's right here, right? So he gets the punish counter after the OD reversal. He's got Mena at barely over a bar at this point. And Angrybird, he wanted to take super hard advantage, right? He's like, I'm going to put you in a block string. I'm going to make you block a Jinrai. I'm going to make you block something so that this drive meter gets ousted. And Mena, man, he just bets on the drive impact. And I feel like Mena, he's one of the best players at making, like, the level 1 plays when you don't expect him to make them. Like, right? Like, a lot of people are trying to dig deep into the meta and whatnot, and they forget about those beginning answers. And Mena never does. And he always brings them out when people are unexpecting it.
Which is super important, because once you get to this level, people actually lose practice against those things because they stop playing against people who do them. Then you run up against, one of the best in the world, and then he's still doing random scrub DIs, and you're like, what? Why is this working? And then, well, it's just exactly that reason, man. And then perfect parry there, doesn't really work out, but
yeah. And then I was gonna say that Angrybird learned his lesson, though, right? He was like, all right, I'm not gonna get too thirsty for burning them out. He does what Dual Kevin did up against Samurai. He was like, I'll let the threat of it do the heavy lifting. Mena tries to bet on a parry, doesn't work out. Now he's burnt out, and then Angrybird, I believe, ends up taking the round from there. But definitely, this is, I believe, after this is when we see Mena switch to the Luke after this game when Angrybird gets that dub, right? And yeah, he just really stabilized the set with the Luke. And there was a couple of moments where, it looked like the most frustrated I've ever seen Angrybird look in Street Fighter 6.
That's exactly it. Like, he just played so differently than how he usually does. And that's, again, just the power of Mena RD, man. He makes you play like that, I feel like. This doesn't happen to everyone for no reason. He just has that effect, and that's what he's going for. And, that Luke switch is, again, another option to ice you out, and his Luke's just as good. It's not necessarily good for the matchup or whatever. He could probably play Lank all the way. He's just trying to mix it up, make you think twice, get you out of your comfort zone, and it works so well, and you've already got him uncomfortable, and he's already in your head. And I want to go to that, like, the way he closes it out as well. It's super clean. I don't think about it too much, because he doesn't just go for, like, a regular shimmy. It should be right here. He lands like 3 throws, and then on the 4th one, he just 2 throws even. It's that tiny micro crouch strong. It's like, you think, okay, he's just doing a shimmy, but honestly, against Angrybird, that's like a respectful shimmy. He basically just times his crouch strong to catch any fuzzy button. Exactly. Anything. So I mean, he'd expect Angrybird to maybe wake up with the low forward there, right? But suddenly that would even get framed. Obviously, he caught the throw tech. So he still got that, but it would have caught the low forward, it would have caught the jump out, anything like this, and it's like optimal, you know.
Yeah.
It's just the best way to deal with that situation. And it's just clean.
And I like the fact that you bring it up that it's a respect to Angrybird, right? Because it is a commitment on Mena RD's part. Like, he is committing to that timing to blow up as many possible options as Angrybird is going to do. But that does leave him susceptible to, like, a jump. Like, if he just woke up, jumped, right? Like, that could have caught him or whatever have you. There's some counterplays to that. But Mena was like, Angrybird is so good, I just want to commit to this timing.
Yeah. Yeah, and it was just clean. Like, you see a lot of people overextend and are a little bit slow and greedy with the shimmies. Like, they wait to try and react to the throw tech to get the guaranteed stuff, and then they just get hit by that low forward, and then it's like, oh, okay. But, like, nah, this is Menard playing. He just wants to finish this off right now, given all the respect he can. And, yeah, I mean, it was just, like I said, a big win for Menard. Won't lie. This team, you know, the Nassau was going to be completely unbeatable, but I guess it only takes the runner-up for you, right?
You know? Minutes there. Man, I'm trying to find this one. Maybe it's right here, where there's this one sequence where Angrybird just keeps pressing on hit, and he just keeps getting counter hit. And I was like, man, maybe it's after this. But I was like, this is the most frustrated I've ever seen Angrybird play this game. Like, it was wild. Let me see. I think it is right here, actually. Well, maybe not.
So I watched this guy on Wanted, like,
yeah, okay, so this was it
in Europe back. Oh, okay.
This was it right here. So, like, right, we get the anti-air. Like, look at that. Immediately tries to stand medium kick, fireball. Immediately sweeps after getting hit by that. Like, ouch. I was like, bro, you are angry. Like, you are tired of playing against this Luke already. And it was the first game of the Luke.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just, you know, like I said, you just... We wanted to get our way back in the games. He was in a rush. Like, he just didn't want to play this set any longer versus Menard, man. And again, you know, being made to look like that. Like, right here, like, what's Angrybird doing? Round start freaking DI or DI in reaction to the drive rush?
Yeah.
Against, like against anyone else, he'd never do that. He would never do that. But
like,
Menard, he just sees the drive rush, and he just feels like he's got to do something to get some momentum back.
Exactly. Like, the way Menard, like, Angrybird is very good at, like, pressing on hit. Like, usually he's good at pressing on hit and recognizing when the opponent isn't going to be able to follow up their attack that actually connected, and then he, like, steals turns that way. After just getting duffed over and over again like that, he's like, okay, like, it felt like he lost confidence in the way he uses his normals, like, in that moment.
Hold on. Where's Ken's head?
They legit decapitated here, bro.
They knocked his head off. What?
Like, legitimately.
Oh, my.
So I think he goes to bet on the drive impacts because he's like, my buttons are working. Menard's beating me to the punch every time. Maybe I can catch him committing to a fireball or a button or whatever the hell. And yeah, I mean, Mena is just cool, calm, calculated, bro. And once you start making decisions like that, that's exactly where he wants you.
Yeah, like, he knows now. He knows what he needs to do, like, and there's not much, like, yeah, it's just... He does have some good moments, of course. It is Angrybird. He can still play some really good Street Fighter 6. But I mean, look at that, the whiff punish on the sweep. Just, yeah, trying to whiff punish the low forward from, I mean, the low strong from Luke is already like a bad idea. It's only got 20 frames of recovery. Like, you're rarely ever gonna react and catch that in time.
So yeah, Mena did a great job. Ended up forcing a best of one in the set between Nephew and Chris T. For whoever was going to get 25 points, right? And rough game for Chris T, honestly, at the end of this one. Like, he got one round. I think even Nephew afterwards said, usually we're pretty even, but I kind of ran him over. And Chris, I mean, he got the one round, right? But really I wanted to highlight, I think it was the final round, or was the final round the stomp round?
The final round was a really close, like,
okay, yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about for sure. Let me see. Was it this last round, too, where he was really low? Yeah, so both. Oh no. Okay. Yeah. It was this last round, I believe.
Oh, this one.
But yeah, very, very close here, right? Let me see. Nephew setting up shop, going with the fireball approach. Man, this was, yeah, such a close set to end it. Great block on the overhead. Chris again taking the damage he can get. Oh man, bro. This was such a heartbreaker here. So he goes with the crouch medium kick, right, back to back with it. He gets hit. Nephew, he's just pressing it on hit, bro. He's just letting the drive impact rip.
Oh, God. He almost died from that as well. I barely had enough health to soak up the fireball. Like, that's what Cal. Obviously, he's not dead yet, but it's just... surprised he didn't spend the level 1, but I guess he wanted to
still
be in...
we're gonna see how he ends up spinning the level 1. This was like the really impressive part of the set to me was Nephew's poise here, his discipline. Like, right, he's in burnout. He eats the first OD fireball, backs up a little bit, eats another one, right? And Chris, but this is, to me, this was Chris also being way too thirsty for the chip out. Like, it's spinning 4 bars on the OD fireball here. Yeah, you got into the block 2, but then look at this. You're only at 2 bars of drive meter left, and all Nephew needed to do, at the end of this, you'll see all he needed to do was dodge 1 projectile, which he dodges here with the jump. Spins another bar of drive meter to get close. He doesn't DP. He could have let the DP rip off that drive rush.
I'm gonna say that was like, that's the nerves kicking in there.
Yeah.
I feel like 9 times out of 10, Chris T gets the anti-DP there, but you know, in such a close set, the last one for the potential last 5 points, yeah, you can tell the nerves were high.
Like, exactly, right? Like, after a fireball, this is what Ken wants. This is the Ken dream, right?
Sure you can.
Yeah, the sure you can. It wasn't there. So then Nephew gets another chance. And then Chris, again, he has a bar of drive meter still available in this instance. He spins it on the OD here, maybe betting that the last bit will get enough chip. It does not, because Nephew had dodged that 1 projectile he needed to dodge earlier. Chris then tries to run again, too thirsty for the chip out, ends up getting close. Great reactions from Nephew. That's always been a hallmark of his gameplay. And I mean, it was there for chip too. So great poise from Nephew right there. Just a little bit too thirsty for the chip out from Chris.
There's something about Nephew, man. He always clutches it in these ridiculously scrambly games with some crazy, stupid play. Like,
Legit,
I mean, that was just smart right there, dodging the fireballs. But he always lets it run down to the wire, man. But hey, clutches it out for Nassau. But you know, the one team who probably people were expecting to sweep didn't. So
yeah,
you know, that was it was a really good first week.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think a lot of people are happy. A lot of people got on the board right. Red Rooster getting the sweep, I think, took a lot of people by surprise as well. So it was a great week 1 of SFL. What are your like overall thoughts about this week? Like, what are the things that stood out to you, and what are you looking forward to next week?
Yeah, again, the Red Roosters, probably a team that flew under my radar as like, you know, competitively, you know, compared to these, you know, some of the stacked rosters we have in the SFL US this year. But honestly, now I'm starting to see their players and how well they're playing. Like, people like Banana Ken, wasn't sure how well they perform in this kind of like offline setting, you know. And even against DCQ in the mirror, managed to clutch that out in a first of 3. Very impressive stuff. Same thing to PR Balrog and Ajax, like just players that I was not expecting to come out and do as well as they have, and I hope they keep that up. Like, and they can honestly be contenders. I want to see how they fare up against, you know, possibly the All-Star team with Angrybird and Big Bird, and obviously Punk and Nephew. But yeah, I think it's been really exciting. Like I said, the one team we're expecting to do the best just haven't quite pulled it out yet. Anyway, obviously Menardi, he's a pretty good player. So
yeah, for sure.
I don't blame Angrybird for not winning that one.
Yeah,
that was a big win for Angrybird, and yeah, even UIU, I'm looking forward to seeing them again. Hopefully NuckleDoo doesn't put himself against JP this time though. Yeah,
for sure, right? Maybe a little bit better player versus player counter picking going on here. That is a big aspect of SFL, of course. But yeah, man, like, I'm very much looking forward to how we go forward in regards to people facing Angrybird. Because, like, as you mentioned, Mena was able to defeat him, and he's obviously EVO champion. But, like, or excuse me, he was runner-up to EVO, and Angrybird was the EVO champion. But, like, Angrybird has been decimating even strong players, right? Like, we see the sets up against China, decimation. Ending Walker and Wanted, 7-1, decimation. Like, strong, very, very strong players are just getting bodied. So the fact that Mena was able to make them bleed on the very first episode of SFL, I'm hoping that gives everybody else some confidence, you know what I mean? Yeah. Just so that they're their best selves going into the match against him.
Well, you know the saying, right? If it bleeds, we can kill it. So
that's what I'm saying, man.
It's one of those things. Yeah, he looked so unstoppable. Obviously, getting to watch him in these first 7 sets in Wanted every week versus the best from Europe, and seeing no one stand a chance apart from Big Bird has really been eye-opening. I thought it'd be the same over here, but it looks like we got some people to give him contender. Obviously, we've only seen Menardi so far, but again, some of the players we've seen, I think, have definitely been up to a chance. And I'm hoping next week maybe the nerves die down a little bit, people get a bit more comfortable, and we can hopefully see people playing at their best, which is kind of what you want at these big almost international competitions.
Yeah, that's the other point I want to bring up. Hopefully everybody very much more comfortable on the setups and in the environment so we can see cleaner execution. But yeah, man, thank you for joining me, Lazarus. It went as dope of a conversation I was hoping for. So I hope that you are down to keep doing more, because I definitely am.
Of course. Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun writing all these notes and watching the sets and getting to talk about them with you as well. Like it's something you don't really get to do. Obviously, we do commentary all the time, but you don't really get the time to do this kind of commentary analysis in your tournament commentary and stuff like that. So it's nice to get a little bit of breakaway and be able to do that in a little bit more in depth. Something I personally enjoy, and I'm sure you do too.
Yeah, and it's different between just like our analysis streams ourselves, right? Where we're just reviewing matches, pausing and all that. Like I wanted to do a little bit fresher take on it. We had a lot of the clips already pre-prepared, get to bounce off of each other rather than just a solo one brain thinking about it, you know what I mean? So thank you so much, man, for joining me. We should be back next week, Thursday. I'm looking at lining up player interviews for SFL as well, like all the players that were on. We're trying to get a segment where we get them in and ask them a few questions. A lot of the players have already agreed to it. I've DM'd them a lot. It's just a matter of scheduling them and all that. So, yeah, we'll be back next week for this unnamed SFL post-discussion show. Thanks, everybody. Peace out.
Figure something out for a name.